Sid and Dion, brothers on a comedy path. All jokes aside, we about to change the math. Real talk plus no filter equals not your usual chatter. From sports to politics, all subjects matter. Never shallow, we about to go into the deep end. Get ready to dive in, go ahead, grab a friend. Now this is grown people business, keep them kids inside. Now that's debatable, jump on, it's time to ride. Yeah, now that's debatable. Now that's debatable. Here we go. Time to start the show.
Yo. Welcome back. Thank you for joining us this week. Now that's debatable. We are your lead master debaters. I'm Sidney Smith. That there is Mr. Dion Curry. Thank you guys for joining us. We appreciate the hell out of you. First, let me kick it off with an apology. We meant to be with you last week. We really tried very hard, but we were having some technical issues that were irritating the shit out of us in pre-show. So we chose not to irritate the shit out of you during the show. So again, we apologize for that, but we are back this weekend. We're fired up. We're ready to go. Dion Curry, how are you? I'm pumped, if you can't tell it, by the energy in my voice.
Happy Monday to you, my brother. Happy Black History Month, my black brother from another mother. This is the shortest month of the year, so we gonna get it in. What's the blackest thing you did today? Do you know?
Ooh, what is the blackest thing I did today? That is a good question. I said the N-word a couple times today. I didn't mean to, but I did. Does that count? Does that count?
Depending on what time frame you said it in. If you said it maybe, about 200 years ago, it wouldn't be a very black thing of you to say.
Tamara laughs because she says I have this way of getting on the phone with certain people, and for some reason, the tone of my voice, I get this accent. She says I guess I'm completely different. So I was talking to some folks back who are from the D, and I'm pretty sure I sounded like I was from the D for a moment.
Okay, so you hit that code switch. I got you. I see.
I felt safe. I was at home.
Said, Alexa, unplug yourself.
What's the blackest thing you did today?
What is the blackest thing I did today? Probably woke up at like 2:00.
That's a Dion thing. What are you talking about?
Well, I can only be me.
Bruce Bolter is with us, is already chiming in. What is good, Bruce? Thank you for jumping in. For anyone else who's going to jump in, we're going to wait and see if any other folks jump in. Dion, I always feel like sometimes when the show doesn't go off last week like it's supposed to, sometimes we have a little dip in attendance the following week. I always feel like that happens.
Definitely.
Though we did start the show about a couple minutes earlier than we normally started too, so that could be it.
I think it's a combination of both. We were completely prompt and on time, ready to go this week, and then last week was a complete shit show when it comes to the technical issues. Even if we wanted to go, the show would have been crap. So, you know, sorry about that, guys. But we're back. We're ready to go. And when you get here, because we got a great show.
The crazy thing is, and you and I were talking about this last week about doing the show live, and this is the conversation Dion did not know I was going to bring here, but I'm going to bring it here because we share so much with you guys. You and I were talking last week about maybe not. I opened it up about maybe not doing the show live every single week. Maybe we do a regular podcast that goes up. If you want it, you go get it, you hear it, and then we do this once a week live with everyone. And there was a bevy of reasons, with the pacing of the show, sometimes can be interrupted based on comments. Sometimes people don't want to be a part of the show because, as far as listening, because they don't care for the questions, they would like to hear more of us and just different things. And we were going back and forth about, do we keep going live or do we not go live or do we split it up? What's the best approach we should take with this? So, and you kind of talked me into, no, let's keep it going every week live, and let's see what happens with it that way.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I love the live interaction that you and I can have with the master debaters, but we've been doing this show for 3 years now, I think.
Right in the middle of the pandemic, so however long that was.
Yeah. So it's just one of those things where it's a tradition for me that I look forward to on Monday. I get to chop it up with you. I know rain, sleet, or snow. As long as we're not on the road and, our health is what it should be, we're going to do this show. And I just want to, reiterate that I really do appreciate being here with you and anybody else who comes to join and then watch the show. I appreciate them as well. But just the rapport that you and I get to have, no matter what we're talking about. Sometimes we talk about stuff that gets us yelling at each other, and then
Yeah, yeah.
sometimes we talk about the silliest of things, like the list of where you can't take a chick on a first date. So I just not that it would change if we didn't do it live, but I really do like the minute to minute interaction where I get to see your face, where I can tell, yeah, if I keep pushing this button, I'm gonna get Sydney to blow up. I love that.
Yeah, that is one of your favorite things to do in all the years we've known each other. And guys, we're gonna jump into the show here shortly. Just give us a couple of minutes. We want to see if let some other folks have a chance to jump in. I see some eyeballs are on us. Thank you guys for joining us. This is Now That's Debatable. Today's show, we are going to talk about something that Shaq said on a podcast interview a week or so ago, and we wanted to talk about it last week. We did, and we're going to jump into that. And the question or his statement was, and we're going to get into it, but I want to give you guys this so you can kind of think about it, because we do take comments from you guys. And I'm paraphrasing him. His thought process was, a man should never emotionally open up to a woman because she will use that against him later on down the road. And I've heard so many people already talking about it already, so I hate that we didn't get a chance to talk about it last week. But I did want to jump in here with you guys and Dion to see where everybody was at with it. Before we get to that, I do want to ask Dion, bro, any shows coming up, anything you got happening that you want to share with the folks who may be in the area?
I'll be at the Drop Comedy Club in Fort Wayne, the 22nd and 23rd of February.
Okay,
So yes,
okay,
or it's either the 22nd or 23rd, or the 23rd and 24th. One of those. It's a Friday, Saturday.
okay, okay.
But yeah, that's where I'll be at next.
As usual, you guys know you can keep up with my calendar at SydneySmithCreative.com, the CRE, the number 8TIV.com. Shows are coming out. I did want to let everyone know who's in the Valley. Laugh Local will be launching our first show. Obviously, it's brand new pop-up style comedy, so I'm not going to tell you where it's going to be. You got to get your tickets and then find out the day of the show to find out where we're going to be. But the first one will be right here in Phoenix, April 27th. So those tickets should be live and ready to go this weekend. And then our second one will be May 11th. So looking forward to launching that, getting that going. My comedy special, Misunderstood, drops next month. Sat down with the producer and editor of that today, Coach Taylor. That's my guy, man, superstar, rock star, works with some of the best out there. So he and I'll be working on that, and that'll drop in March. So some good things happening for myself and for Dion. So hopefully you guys can make it out to support that if you so choose. With that said, I see already we have someone Facebook user says Shaq is too old for that shit. Dion, do you have to? Who's that?
Our sweet, lovely Aaliyah Craig.
Aaliyah, what's good, Aaliyah? Thank you for jumping in, Aaliyah. Aaliyah is one of our favorite people. I'm glad that she can come out and join us every week. Dion, what are your thoughts too? Again, I'm gonna repeat it for people who might just be jumping in. What are your thoughts on what Shaq said? A man should not share his deepest emotions with a woman because she will use that against him later on down the road.
Well, here's my opinion on it. If you're afraid of that happening, you shouldn't. If you're not afraid of it, then it's not a big deal. I think what's more important in this scenario is the woman you choose to tell your deepest, darkest secrets to. Is she the quality of woman to keep that shit to herself and be like, ooh, I wish you hadn't have told me? Or is she the type of woman to be like, yo, TMZ, let me holler at you real quick?
So generally speaking, well, I want to let me go to some comments and I'll get my thoughts. Bruce says, I don't know which topic I want to talk about more. So you're in luck. We're going to try to touch on both of them. Carla Lorraine is in here. She says, hey guys, what's good, Carla? Been a long
What's up,
time.
Carla?
And then Facebook user here says, either gender has the potential to weaponize vulnerability. It's an issue specific to the person you're dealing with, in my opinion. And Aaliyah, I will agree with you there. But
That wasn't Aaliyah.
that wasn't okay. Who was that?
No, that was our birthday girl, Roxy.
Oh,
Happy
Roxy,
birthday
what's
to
good,
Roxy.
Roxy? Roxy, love the comment, but this is where you and I are going to disagree on this one, and where I will agree with Shaq. While either gender can do it, if we're talking about man, should he share it with a woman? I'm gonna say no, generally speaking. Absolutely not. And that's for a bevy of reasons. Not just because the potential of that woman using that against you down the road, which in a lot of cases she will. A lot of times, as much as women say they want it, y'all want no parts of a man showing his emotions and being vulnerable. No parts of it. None.
I can see the keyboards typing as if we were all in an iPhone group chat. I mean, it's one of those things where if you like, what I get what you're saying when it comes to the masculine feminine dynamic of a woman doesn't want to see her masculine man in a feminine energy and in a feminine thought process. But at the same time, I think that falls out of the way when you are with your person, if that makes sense. If you're just randomly dating some person, and they haven't met your family, you definitely shouldn't be telling them your deepest, darkest secrets because, there's nothing in it for you as the man to protect yourself. I mean, there's nothing, it's just all L's down the road. Whereas if at least if it's your person, your spouse or significant other, they're gonna have to come up off some shit, if that makes sense.
Look, let me go to some comments because we got some good ones rolling in, so I want to make sure that I get to them here. Bruce says you need to pick the right person to share with. Carla says I'm watching the right topic show today. All right, Carla, I can't wait to hear what you're going to say. What's good, Matthew? Matt, so he says, Sydney, my man, happy to see you doing well. Sorry, off topic. No, man. Show us some love. I appreciate that love, brother. I'm gonna skip down real quick down here, and I'll come back up. Matthew also says, I've been married 17 years. I think you have a point. She doesn't want to see me weak. And I've known Matthew a long time, a beautiful wife, and he's right. That's where I'm at with it. As much as they say they want it, they don't want any parts of it, even with the right woman.
No, okay. This is where I will play the devil's advocate because the man in me wants to agree with you, but I think they don't want to see you weak every day. But if they saw you weak because your grandmama just died, and she sees you crying, any woman who's worth her salt as a woman sees that and is turned off by that, well, she deserves to be alone for the rest of her days. Like there's no man or woman on the planet who can make that person happy. Like if you can't have a vulnerable moment when it's time to have a vulnerable moment,
I'm not
to
saying
me
you can.
that's ridiculous.
I'm not saying you can't have that moment at that moment. I'm saying when the moment comes for her to fucking say, that's when your bitch ass was crying over your grandma. Remember that? Fucking snot all in your nose. Couldn't even stop. I had to run out of Kleenex with your punk ass. Remember that? That shit is coming. Dude, I was with this woman that I thought was the fucking thing, man. And I made the mistake of thinking I could be vulnerable and share story. And it's not even about crying. Sometimes you sharing shit that happened to you when you was a kid. And them bitches, man,
What'd you do?
they
Show her
give
your
no
Pokemon
fucks.
cards?
What's that?
You show her your Pokemon cards? You was all excited.
Thank God I didn't, bro. Thank God I didn't. Because you get to see what Julius Caesar went through when fucking they stabbed his ass a million times. It keeps coming. You can't get, like, I refuse to give you anything. I will not give you anything. Look, I love my wife dearly. We are very close. We've had moments. She's cried way more often than I have ever cried in our relationship, in our marriage. Not giving it to you, player. Not giving it. Any bit of vulnerability I've ever given you, if you threw it back at me, I would dust that shit off. It was nothing super deep I'm giving you. Ever. I had a bitch one time tell me, that's why you act just like your daddy. I'm like, bitch, first of all, one, you know I hate that motherfucker. And two, you don't even know him. But you gonna throw that big old ice snowball and hit me in the face with it though? Hell no, man. No, no, sir. No, sir.
It was a drive-by fruiting.
No, sir. No, sir. But
No,
I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I just think that any woman who says to a man, I'm going to take you at your most vulnerable and then weaponize that and turn that on you, of all the groups of women out there, they should be at the front of the line for who gets punched in the face. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's right. But
These
I'm just saying
comments made by Deion Curry.
if there is a group of women who deserve to be punched in the face, it's the ones who weaponize somebody else's trauma. Dudes too. Anybody who does that,
Don't
you
do
deserve
that.
to get
Don't
your.
do it. See, this is what you always do when we get on the topic. You always try to save yourself and make yourself look good by bringing. Don't bring dudes in this. This is a conversation. Shaq did not say do not be vulnerable with a woman or dudes too. He did not. That's not what we're talking about.
No, I'm just saying you don't have to be vulnerable to man. He'll shoot you over some tennis shoes. You think he give a fuck about your problems?
See right over here. Facebook user says, "Isn't he like 50? He doesn't even date women his age, so I'm not surprised he said that." We're not talking about just young women.
Aaliyah Craig.
Aaliyah Craig. We're not talking about just young women. This is. I love how y'all think y'all bullshit stops at a certain age. Like when y'all 30, 35, all of a sudden y'all done cleared it all up like acne. Fuck out of here. y'all still be doing bullshit well beyond the age of 35, man. Well beyond. And Aaliyah, I love you, but well beyond. Y'all got me so hyped I'm yelling in my office. Let me get some comments before I go back to DI real quick. Let's see here. Matt is still with us. He says, unless it's a breaking moment, not just some random stuff breaking me down. Matt, I'm going to tell you something. You better take it all to the grave, baby. Take it all to the grave. Because if it's a breaking moment, I hope it's your last moment. Because if you're going to take any more oxygen after that moment, it's coming back up. You know it's coming back up. Carla says,
So
I feel like I'm...
she's
What's that?
gonna be sitting at the kitchen island looking at bills. Oh, looks like you're crying again.
100%. It's out of nowhere. Has nothing to do with anything. We here Disneyland. We having a great day.
Hurry up, kids! You're gonna start crying in an hour.
You may have a moment with your daughter. You just having a moment. You just a little tear. Oh, your bitch ass crying again, huh?
Man, not trusting a woman.
Carla, why?
I've never heard of that.
We talk.
Man, not trusting a woman.
Carla, why?
I've never heard of that.
We talk. We can share some things. There's no reason for. First of all, it's not even natural for a man to share all of himself with you in the first place. He might as well be a lady. All right. In fact, no.
Sydney said, if a woman tell him the sky is blue, he'll believe her after he take a look.
What?
So let me go look first.
No, you can't do it. I can't believe Carla would even say something like that. I feel like if a man can't share with me, he feels like he can't trust me. And Carla's very trustworthy. Like Carla's like a chick dude. Like you can if you're just friends with Carla.
Whoa, what?
No, because if you're friends with Carla, that's like Carla could be like a good ride or die friend, like on the level of another dude, like that type of thing. But if you're in a relationship with Carla, she's a woman. So no, you have to put some brakes, put some pauses on how much I'm going to be sharing with you. What do you need to know? Why you asking me the questions? What you need all this information for? What you going to do with it? You're not going to do anything with this information. You don't even need all of it.
Why you asking all them questions? Why you asking
You don't even need
all
all
them
of
questions?
Oh, Carla, I can see Carla down here at the bottom saying, you need a hug. Sid, you need a hug. I don't need a hug, Carla. See, every time a man wants to speak his truth, y'all mess with his energy.
Come here, baby. Let me give you a hug. Rub all that sorrow out your back, you bitch ass.
See, and Matt says, breaking moments, those are different. I agree with you on this point. And then he says, Sydney, that part. Like, yeah, daddy, I'd go nuts. That's a dangerous woman. So, man, you can't do it. I'm surprised that, Dion, you just out here don't have more to say. But then again, you're always trying to save face with them.
No, it's the simple fact that, if I tell you something, I'm not worried about how you're going to use it against me. I'm not worried about that. Because if I was really worried about that, I wouldn't say anything in the first place. Like, if I felt like I told you something that I couldn't handle you returning it on me, I would never tell you.
But that's what we're talking about, though, right? We're talking about, can you reveal everything to a woman? Right? So
and I said yes, the right one. And if she hurts and if she betrays that trust, she should be the first one to get punched in the face whenever they start allowing people to hit women. That's all I'm saying.
These comments are they do not represent now. Look, And this is what I would say. I would say even the kindliest woman you've ever met in your entire life, including my wife, who's one of the nicest ladies you'll ever meet, can turn on you if given the proper motivation.
Well,
Why?
anybody can do that.
Why give her the bullets for the gun? Not at all. You got the gun. I'm not loading it
But
for you. I'm not even putting them in your
well,
hand.
but here's the thing, though. You don't have to give that type of person any ammunition. Anything they know about you, they're gonna turn against you. You know, you could be late for work one day. That's why your ass ain't never on time. And it's just like, if that's who she is, or if that's who he is, it, you know, what difference is like those are? It's just a certain type of people who it don't matter what you tell them if they gonna shoot you when you're down. It don't. You getting shot. Is what I'm saying.
Facebook user here says Shaq talking about don't be vulnerable, but he's willing to shake his ass in any movie role he can. Who said that?
Aaliyah Craig.
What? Look, Shaq. Yes, Shaq is willing to take a couple of shekels to do a commercial or something. Yeah, the man does not know the meaning of the word no when it comes to being commercialized. Facebook user says, "Who were you dating? LOL. These women sound toxic." Is that Aaliyah again?
No, that was right. She says, I don't see vulnerability as weakness. I think that it's helpful to understand where people are coming from.
So she wants to
And
shank
let
your ass.
and let me say this, Roxy, you're in the minority.
She, just and that minority group is the size of a smear of cream cheese. All right, it's so small. Matthew says facts. Bullshit knows no age limit. Thank you, Matthew. Matthew, you are welcome to the show anytime. I don't have enough men who watch the show who know where to stand, what side. Dion is normally too busy trying to stand on whatever side the females are on and trying to hedge his bets. So thank you for showing up to the show, Matthew. Thank you, sir.
Wow. Wow. How did I get attacked from a compliment that you got in the comments by your friend?
What did you see what I did there, sir? What? that's, that's how. Because you had it coming. You had it coming. One, I was telling the truth. And two, you be sniping at me every week on the show. You sniping me.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If I do it and then you do it, it's kind of hack when you do it since I do it first. So that's what I'm really trying to say
I
is
got you first. I got you first this time. You are always edging your best, though. You did on this one. I think women should be if they do, but on the same, guys do it too.
no, I was when I was talking about men, I was thinking of homosexual relationships and how men can be with men who are that type of person. That's what I was just
Well,
putting in the context of relationships. That's what
yeah,
I'm saying.
yeah. There's no doubt that even within your guy friends group, sometimes you can have men who are ladylike. So yeah, no doubt, and they're completely straight men, and they can still have those ladylike tendencies. Yeah, without question. So you can have that outside of romantic
Yeah,
relationships.
I think if you can't handle being vulnerable in a public space, then you shouldn't tell anybody any of your secrets because that's what happens. You know, secrets are meant to be told. You know, that's the only way people know they exist is you got to tell somebody else about it. So
There's a few things I know to be 100% true, and one of them is when I die, the people who are at my funeral, they will all have a different impression of me, because I've only shared pieces and parts with each one of them. Okay, they will all have to sit down for at least a week to get an entire picture of me. I refuse to give anyone the whole fucking meal. You're not getting it. Somebody got it. What's that?
what do you think you are? Who do you think you are? Fucking Shark Week? What do you got to sit out for a whole week? Oh, it's Sidney Smith Week. Today we're visiting Australia. Yeah. Like, what do you mean?
Have you not seen how I celebrate my birthday? I expect my funeral to be done the same way, sir. Yes, I expect some time to be put in.
This man sit out for a week. Ooh.
And I expect you to be there. You're gonna be haunted, Dion.
How many black people have you buried?
Enough, enough.
Yeah, we don't hang out for a week.
Not just
He
anybody
gone.
did.
All right, this
He
food was
gone.
good.
That is not even no. That is not how we do it. Uh, Matthew said, "Your bitch ass crying again, huh? I'm dead as fuck." I said, "LOL." You Matt knows is right. And again, Matt's been married, like he said, 17 years, beautiful children, done well for himself. He and his wife rock solid. But boy, he opened it up with this. He knows. He know. You stub your toe, you better bite your lip. And you better not let her see you bite your lip because then that looks a certain way. And then, it's all it doesn't exist, man. That
It,
whole that whole thing where and I just sent it to my wife the other day. They got the scene with Rachel McAdams and I can't think of the actor, but from The
Ryan
Notebook.
Gosling.
Thank you, Ryan Gosling. When they're going back and forth, well, that's what we do. You tell me I'm an arrogant asshole, and I tell you when you're being a pain, that shit ain't real. Get the fuck out of here. Ain't no woman trying to hit no shit like that. None of it. You would have lost her when you called her a pain in the ass. Your mama's a fucking pain in the ass. That's all you. Conversation's over. Dead. Done. Now move on, buy her something, and keep it moving. But best believe, first chance she gets, she's pulling that fucking card back out of you. Remember that time you was crying and it was raining outside and your hair was a mess and you was wearing nothing but a t-shirt and you was screaming like a lady about, yeah, call me Eric, son of a bitch. And that's what we do. Remember that time? Remember that time you lost both your nuts on the way you was walking because you sounded like a pure bitch. That's what she gonna tell you later on down the road. You ain't never met no woman. I want to watch The Notebook, but I ain't trying to live The Notebook. In fact, the only scene my wife has ever brought up from The Notebook that she said, I want us to do together, was the scene where they die together. All right, that's the only scene. So she ain't never said nothing about wanting me to be anything else in that movie other than dead.
I'm just
So
glad. I'm just glad you don't have to build a house from memory. I can see your black ass out there in the hot ass Phoenix desert sun talking about what was that? This I can't remember, man. It's hot as fuck out
she, nah, you gonna see me out here. She better live in this house I bought.
here. Sydney gonna have one hammer and five nails talking about what was hot out here. From
Well,
memory, I can't get no picture.
nothing said you don't have any friends. Like I built this whole house by myself.
Say you didn't have an electrician, no plumber, nobody.
Here's the thing: how you build a whole house by yourself? Who helped you frame it? You can't. How you fucking house of popsicle sticks, motherfuckers? What this is?
Said I built it brick by brick, like the Three Little Pigs showed me how to do.
And think about this, Dion. Even in that movie, she shit on him. All right, he was vulnerable. She shit on him every chance she got. She There wasn't a dick she didn't see. She ain't suck in that movie. All right, so disgusting.
What
The,
movie we talking about?
the Notebook,
She she was hoeing in the Notebook.
bro. Yes. How
I
many?
don't remember that part.
What are you talking about? This dude had to cry all these tears building his house by himself because no answers would be. Nah, come on, man. No.
Wait. So he wrote the journal that he read to her about their life, and he included the part where she was hoeing.
Yes.
No wonder they died on the same day.
Tamara thinks that's how we gonna go. So, well, we gonna die at the same time. I said, no,
I
we live a
tell you
long time with
what.
my family. We are not lying
Tell
down
you
at the
what.
same time.
If my wife wrote a movie where she talked about my whole phase and it became an instant success, I'm killing the bitch the same day I do.
Tamara think when I put her in a home, I'm supposed to leave my nice home and go live in the home with her. I tried to trick her and said, no, he was just coming to visit. She said, no, he wasn't. He lived there. He moved in. I said, well, you don't know how to play the piano. All right, so this is not very accurate. So this doesn't need to be that accurate.
How did we get off on this tangent?
I don't know, man. Hey, Matthew's go. He said, got to jail. He said he'll be back again. Appreciate you, brother.
All right.
Carla says, if he tells me I hold that to a different standard than if I found it out on my own, because let me find out. Carla, first of all, let you find out what on your own. See,
And that's the type of shit that is the reason why I wouldn't want to tell you a motherfucking thing. Because if you can't handle me not telling you and you find that out on your own and that causes you to blow up, not realizing that I'm dealing with whatever it is I'm dealing with, it's about you at that moment. And then that's where the issue lies. It's like you can't I can't be in a vulnerable situation and then you find out about that and then have the gall to be upset at me because I didn't tell you about it. Like, you got to let me have that.
Carla, what you got to say to that? Bruce says Sydney is always in competition. He has to win the topic. Damn right. Damn right. And I'm sick of people going against me. Somebody put earlier, and I didn't even read it, something about Team Dion. I'm pretty sure.
That was my, yeah, that was who?
I'm sure that was
You,
Roxy.
yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
Birthday
yeah.
girl. Happy birthday, shawty.
See, right here. So, Carl, I'm scrolling down. I'm going to come back up, folks. Carla says, damn right, it's about me. See? Then she gives us a big old laugh. All right. Facebook you says, I wonder if he said this before or after the Shawnee controversy. Now, that
That
I'm not
that was
aware of.
Roxy.
Okay, Roxy. Do you know about that?
I'm pretty sure. When was the Shawnee controversy?
I don't even know
It was
what that controversy is. That's what I
well,
was asking. What happened
well,
with
I
that?
mean, he went on the pivot with Ryan Clark and Fred Taylor and Channing Crowder,
Which is a good
and he talked.
podcast.
Yeah, he went and talked about how he was unfaithful and how he messed up, and it wasn't anything to do with her, and how she was the most perfect wife, and it was just him and having nobody to check him and da 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 da. So I'm assuming that was what two years ago, I think,
Oh well, yeah. So
at
this
least a year
count.
and a half ago. So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
it's after,
This is after. So I'm sure
and they've been divorced for a while. So
Shawnee must have kicked him in the nuts pretty good, probably there with some stuff that he said to her, and he never thought was gonna come back and get thrown in his face. I would imagine. So you might have a good point there, Roxy. First good point tonight, Roxy. So kudos to you.
well, that's so
She
hard.
she ain't team Sydney, so yes, that was her. And here I'm gonna give her a I'm gonna give her a little sound. There you go. So good job. Point to Roxy on that one.
What sound was that? Or what are you taking a hearing test? What kind of chime was that?
Look, when people get points who are on your team, this is what it sounds like. When people are on my team and they get points, this is what it sounds like.
And
So,
there's a reason why we haven't heard that sound this tonight.
man, don't you wish you was controlling the sounds every once in a while?
Yeah, no, because then we'd never be able to hear you. Because anytime you talk, it would be ching.
Oh, no, no, I don't have a problem speaking over that. See, I can speak right over that. Face, Facebook user says she was recently outed as a sugar mama dropping tons of money. It's all alleged it may apply more to her new relationship. I'm assuming that's Roxy talking about Shawnee.
Yes,
Okay.
and I hadn't heard that.
Ooh,
She and then Aaliyah Craig says yes, she was dating someone younger recently.
ooh. So she just
Well,
dropping.
of course she has to be. I mean, it's what's the thing where it's fine for me but not okay for you? The double standard. I mean, that's the double standard of older women versus older men. Older men get to pick younger women. Older women usually have to pick younger guys because men their age want younger women.
I'm,
I
I'm,
think that's what.
I'm
Go
just
ahead.
looking her up to see what she looked like.
Who Shaq's wife?
Yeah,
Ex-wife, I should
ex-wife.
say.
Yeah, just trying to see what she looked like. All right, okay.
She,
Yeah, but I guess let's here. Let me bleed off into this. Should
hold on,
she
hold,
go ahead?
before you do that, you just looked her up.
Yeah,
Now, do you think, based on just how she looks and her relative age, do you think that she would prefer to date guys her age, or do you think she likes dating these younger guys?
I think my honest answer is this, and I think this goes for men and women, especially when they have money and power. And she's got some money because I'm sure Shaq had to break her off whatever he broke her off. I think you date whoever you want to. If you can have it, you're gonna take it. You're gonna get it. And so I think she prefers whatever it is she likes because she can do whatever she wants. I think you can take that.
See,
Go ahead. Go ahead. What you gonna say?
but I don't think that. I don't think she's dating younger men because she wants to.
Why do you think she's doing it? As revenge to
Be-
Shaq?
no, because she doesn't have any other options. Because if the men her age are not going to date her because that's Shaq's ex-wife.
What are you talking about? These guys date each other's wives, and sometimes they cheat with each other's wives. I mean, what do you
Like who?
what are you
Like
talking about? I mean, what do you think they're afraid Shaq's gonna beat you up or something?
no, 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 no. What I'm saying is they smash. They don't get in relationships with. They don't trade wives. She can't date her peers. She can't date guys that are in her circle that they met together.
No,
She
but
can't
she
date any of
no,
them.
but she could date guys and others. She could date actors if she
And
wanted
I'm
to, or a
and I'm
bobsled fucking team,
I,
whatever she wanted to do.
that are her age. I don't think
Yes,
she can. I really don't think she can. I
I
don't
did.
think they want her. I think they want younger women or women with less baggage. I don't think anybody wants to date Shaq's ex-wife.
I think
They'll sleep with her, but I don't think they want to wife her up just
But I
because.
think, but again, I think you're saying what I'm saying. I think that when you have that kind of money, power, and access to whatever it is you want, you're going to
That
do
works
whatever
for
the.
men. That doesn't work for women. That doesn't. If the more money a woman has, the worse it's off for her. Because then it's like there's only an X amount of guys who make that kind of money. And if you
Yep.
come in with a reputation of being somebody that popular's ex, like I said, they'll smash, but they don't trade wives,
I
brother.
think it depends on the type of man and we're two men talking about this. So ladies, please let us know what you think. Carla, Roxy, Aaliyah, if there's any more women out there watching, you guys let us know what you think. Because we've only heard from the two of them so far, or the three of them so far. I think again towards your point, I don't think she would have a problem getting wiped up by someone her own age. What I will say is, it depends on her personality. So if she's an alpha type of female and has bread and access to things, she may have to, if she was going to go get someone her own age, she may have to snatch someone up who's more of a beta male, possibly. Maybe she couldn't grab another alpha male, and maybe she doesn't want another alpha male. Maybe she had enough of that with Shaq.
I don't think, this is just my personal opinion. I don't think that she's dating these younger men because she wants to. I honestly don't believe that if she had her druthers, she would be with a dude who's 20 years younger than her that she has to spend all her money on.
Right now, someone says Shaq, she's dating or engaged to a pastor in Texas. That's what, I don't know who put that. Facebook user says that.
Roxy.
Okay. Facebook user says Dana Weir, bingo. Go ahead.
So Dana said maybe men her age have to take a little blue pill and she doesn't want them. I am 44 and plenty of men my age or older would date me. Age has nothing to do with it. Again, I'm not talking about just dating. Yes, guys will date you. Yes, they will take you out. Will they wife her? She's not getting who's she remarrying?
Well, she may be engaged to a pastor right here in Texas.
Exactly.
Who said Dana Weir, bingo? Who said that? Roxy or Leah?
Of course, Roxy.
Yeah,
She said 50K on some peen. You wouldn't drop 50K on your husband's wiener, Roxy?
hook him up. Help a brother out.
It's a lot of pills.
No, can't do it, won't do it. I don't know. I'm sitting here just thinking about it, trying to keep the conversation going, but I'm trying to think about what you're saying. Because there are, again, I don't think it's the money. I think it is what is it, who are you, what is your personality type, and that personality type has to match with whatever that other type is. If you're a beta female, even with bread and whatever, I think you can find whatever age you decide you want to settle with. I think if you are an alpha female with access, with money, it may be a little tougher for you to find someone. So I may agree with you there. Find someone in your age group who's probably going to be an alpha male because he had to be to get to where he's at with that kind of money, that type of power. That may be tough for you. So you may have to go back. But I think it just depends on what your personality type is and what you're looking to be matched up with.
I
Ladies, does
don't
that
think
make any
there's
sense at all, ladies?
I don't think there's an alpha male out there checking for another alpha female
That's what I'm
who's
saying.
the same.
That's what I'm saying. I agree with you there.
Okay, so then if she wants to date that guy and he doesn't want to seriously take her, that's not an option for her. That's what I'm saying. She
And
can want to have access to anybody she wants to have access to, but if they're not checking for her, which they're not, this is all she got left. That's what I'm saying.
okay,
It's not for a man. He can go down, no problem. He can go
and,
up. He can go down. It's
and
not. It's as long as he has his money right, he's gonna be okay. When a woman makes an X amount of dollars that gets to that point where she is not no longer comfortable living in your tax bracket or whatever your financial is, the chances of her finding someone just shrinks. The math on it shrinks so much for women. I don't think they understand that. That like that's not how the math works.
well,
For
then,
men, the men that they want aren't looking for them once they get to a certain tax bracket or age range. That's
well, you're
just
almost speaking the same language as what was that black female who was on the Breakfast Club who said that foul shit about not dating brothers of a different economic level.
Ebony something or
Yeah, she.
other.
Yeah, later on she said something. She was giving advice to black females specifically, but I'm sure you could use this for females in general. Get married early because the longer you wait, the later in life you get, the more success you've had, so on and so forth. Your your opportunities, I guess I should say, the group of men that you can pull from gets smaller and smaller as you begin to start to get older and older and more. What the fuck is this? Fuck the Breakfast Club. Who said that?
Aaliyah.
Aaliyah, I'm gonna go to some comments. Can you give me a little bit of clarity on why you say fuck the Breakfast Club? I may agree with you on some of it. Who knows? But if you could, please, I'm gonna scroll back up though while you do that. Bruce Bolter says, "Wouldn't it be like throwing a hot dog down the hallway?" Talking about messing with Shaq's ex-wife. What is wrong with you? And then Carla says, "Has nothing to do with finances, age, none of that. You need to vibe." And Carla, I agree with you. Oh, and then I disagree with you because this is where I'm going to go with Dion on this. We're talking about when you get to that level of money and status. I think finances and things like that don't matter to the 99% of the population. To the 1% of the population, hell, I open it up to the 5% of that population. It matters a whole lot, especially if a female's coming to the table with her own access to money and power.
Well, you just have to look at it from the perspective of if the roles are reversed, are the situations the same? And they're not.
Speak more on that so people understand where you're going with this.
So Shawnee isn't the famous one because of her actions, right? You flip that on the other side. If say say Jay Z wasn't Jay Z and he's married to Beyonce, right? And they get divorced. Well, take Mary J. Blige's husband. Don't nobody know he ain't done shit.
Yeah,
He can't go get a woman just like Mary J. Blige.
yeah. I think he collecting alimony too.
Yeah, he don't have no chance of redoing that. And what I'm saying is, if you flip it on the other side, the chances of her keeping a guy like Shaq are very small. She can date him, they can hang out, they can be together. What I'm saying, to get that man to be like, I don't want nobody else but you, the chances of that are very, very small. So what I'm saying is the reason she's dating these younger dudes isn't because necessarily she wants to, is because the guys that she would probably prefer to date don't want anything to do with her because of who she used to be with.
Okay, all right, okay.
It's the same thing with Tia from Tia and Tamara when she left her dude, and now she's thotting it up on Instagram, realizing don't nobody want that.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything about her lately, other than that little comment she made about you think that's gonna get into my panties and something. No one cares. Facebook user says, does she even want to get remarried? Why does everyone think women want marriage? I don't know who said that, but I
That
do agree.
was Dana.
Dana, I agree. Not every woman wants marriage. I've known plenty who didn't. I've known plenty that say they didn't, but they actually did. So I guess it just depends on the female. But there are some. I
You
agree with
can
you. There are
call it,
some.
you can call the commitment whatever you want to call it, whether it be marriage or just, monogamous with each other. You can call it whatever you want to call it. But what I'm saying is the chances of her getting that from the guy that she wants.
That's a good point, Dion, because I do think we get too wrapped up in that word marriage. There's very few women. There are women who don't want to be married. You're right about that, but they still want commitment from you. They still want monogamy from you, even if though they don't want the ring. And sometimes as they get older, they don't want the ring because they've already been divorced and they don't want to split up assets again. They don't want to change their name again. I got a couple of female friends say if they got married again, they wouldn't even live in the same house. He could stay in his house. I stay in my house. I see you on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And then and that's it, and that's the way that they would want to live. Like they wouldn't that they don't even want traditional marriage after they these women anyway after a certain point in life. So I'm with you, Dana, partially. You're right. Not all of them want marriage, but a whole lot of them still want that commitment, even if it doesn't mean putting a ring on. And see right here, Carla says, "I want to grow together, but separately." So right there, Carla. For that one, you get.
Oh
Oh, you know what, Dion? Because of your attitude, Carla gets an extra. Watch it, buddy.
See, I'm gonna have to file a complaint with the sound effects board once we get off this podcast.
Well, sir, I run the sound effects board, so you might as well you can talk to me right now.
What if I want to complain anonymous? We need a new HR department around here.
Again,
Said I investigated myself and I found out I did nothing wrong.
I was just getting ready to say I do everything like the police and the NFL. All right, there will be no one investigating me but me, and I find in favor of moi. All right.
Aaliyah says that the Breakfast Club are coons. That's what she. So she gonna have to explain that. I don't listen to the Breakfast Club until you send me clips or somebody I know's on
I
there.
I missed it. I don't see where she said that. But what I mean, do I have to let me scroll up? Maybe no. I don't have it here. I don't know where she said it at. Maybe she said it came up for another area. You think
She said
Charlamagne?
it.
Go ahead. Sorry.
She said it. She said it right after the. She said "F the Breakfast Club." And Robert from Houston says, "What's up? What up, Robert? Thanks for
What up,
joining
Robert?
us."
Do you? I wish Aaliyah could jump onto the show real quick because I would love to have that conversation with her, just for a hot minute. See, this is why this is why we need our own call-in show. Charlamagne, I find to try to go the other way too hard sometimes, Aaliyah. And I'm sorry, folks, if you don't watch The Breakfast Club. We'll only be on this for a minute and we'll come back. I find Charlamagne tries too hard to run the other way sometimes to come off as if he isn't what Aaliyah called him. What I do argue about when it comes to the both of them is these guys are both millionaires at this point. And so I don't know how factual or how believable they are when they're trying to argue the points for the everyday man when you got Charlamagne on there lighting candles and incense and waving them around in the studio like this while he's talking and has his 2 books, bestsellers behind him and things like that. I don't know. Not to say that I'm beating you up for your for your accolades, but I think you do lose a sense of that everyday man if you start to rack those things up. I don't know how do you agree if you disagree or don't disagree. I know you don't watch the show, but just in generally speaking.
Well, I mean, with Envy going through what he's going
Oh,
through
I see what you're
through
saying.
the real estate thing, and then Charlemagne has made many a controversial statement, and then they've got who's that new girl they just hired?
Just
What's her?
you talking about just hilarious.
Jess. They got Jess. She's going to be adding her 2 cents. Culturally, people love the show. I understand its significance, but people need to remember that it is just it's just a radio show. It's everything that they say on there is not true. Everything that people go on in there and say is not true. Like Soldier Boy thing was entertaining as hell. We got a shit ton of memes out of it, but like what at the end of the day, what are we really doing?
Deion, tell me who said this. I want to speak to this. Someone said, "Well said, Sid." I don't know if that was Robert or
That was Aaliyah.
Aaliyah. So thank you right there. So because Charlemagne does shit, and I'm sorry, folks. We're gonna come back. I apologize if you guys are not big fans of that show. But Charlemagne does stuff that drives me absolutely crazy. When I talk about trying to run hard the other way, like I don't like race baiting, and sometimes I feel like he falls into that or either jumps into it. By referring to white people and white things that are Caucasian as mayonnaise and things like that. I mean, absolutely unnecessary. What is the purpose of that? And things along those lines is just trying too hard to appear as if he's still back with the folks who are listening to the show when you're not. Because then right behind that, you'll talk about how you were at this premiere and you were at this function and then you got to be in this green room and you were able to do that type of thing. You and I talk about some of the things we've been able to do, but we don't try to run hard back the other way to make sure we still appear to be some particular way, even though we have this access over here, if that makes
So
sense.
you think Charlemagne is code switching?
I guess simply put it, yeah. I guess if you want to use that, I suppose. But yeah, yeah.
I mean, think about in the comedy game when you first started off, and people blow up, and then they say, "Oh, your materials change." I'm like, well, yeah. When your life changes, you got to make changes, right? There different tax bracket, different set of problems, and so that relatability, you don't have poor people problems anymore. So you
Right.
can't be talking about, oh, I hope my lights is on, that type of thing. So why would that not translate to the conversation about Charlemagne and how, as you become more socially, more people become more aware of you socially, your status grows. Obviously, you know, Muhammad Ali was loved by the people, but he didn't live next to him.
Well, but here's my thing. Then you let Nikki Haley come on the show and do what Nikki Haley does, and you kind of let her come on and just talk and say things. And I'm not a big fan of DL all the time because I don't agree with everything he says all the time. But he did. There was a clip on IG where he talked about Nikki Haley was on a show. He didn't say what show it was, but they allowed her to come on and say things and say what she wanted to say, and there was no pushback and so on and so forth. And he said, people asked how come I want Nikki Haley on this show because I'm not going to let her come on and just do that. And the point I'm bringing up here is there's always this thing that we're pro-black, we're pro-this, we're pro-that. We're all about the culture, which I hate. I really hate that. I hate when we just take a word and all of a sudden that means black all of a sudden. It absolutely fucking drives me. Like right now for the last 2 years, culture all of a sudden means fucking black because people are afraid to say black because it's easier to sell things to black people if you say the culture and you're not upsetting fucking white people or maybe you're not upsetting black people. Absolutely fucking drives me bananas. But then you'll come on and you'll let Nikki Haley come on and do what Nikki Haley does and not really push her on shit. But I don't know how I let Aaliyah get me on this. Aaliyah, thank you for helping produce some of the show. But go ahead, bro.
Let me ask you this:
And it's coming, Bruce. We're gonna get there, Bruce.
whose fault is it that Nikki Haley showed up on a show that's supposed to be for the culture?
The people who produce and host the show, especially I'm gonna say the host of the show because they have the most power.
Okay, right. And so these two dudes invited a person who is not for the culture, and then and then let this person who came into the culture's house poo everywhere and didn't check her not one time. And then you're gonna ask me, are they for the culture? No.
Right. My point.
If they were really down for the people who listen to them, they wouldn't have had that bum on their show, and they damn sure wouldn't let her do what she did when she got there.
Yeah.
So for
100%.
me, I just, it's one of those things where like, why are you taking that meeting? What are you getting out of that? That's not doing nothing for you positive. If you're not going to shut her career down that moment, you don't need to have her on your show. Who did she reach? What message did she deliver to the culture? Anybody who's got half a brain can look up what Nikki Haley is about and realize she don't want nothing to do with us. That ain't even a real name. So to me, that was my issue. It's like, what you put her on there for? I knew y'all wasn't gonna do nothing because y'all not about that. But even still, why would you let her do that? I don't understand. That to me just shows lack of respect for your audience. To
Yeah.
where you would let her come in there and do what she did and not say nothing about it.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with it. And I know, and people want to be fair. We had so and so, but sometimes you got to fucking just draw the line. And I draw the line on a woman who will not pick a side, or just say the truth because you're too busy trying to get a fucking job. And so that's where I'm at. Look, I know people lie. Barack lied about some things because he was trying to get the nomination. The politicians, they all lie. But some shit, when it's blatant and it's obvious, and you are a fucking minority, I can't sit back and just let you pretend like everything is okay. All right. Let's see here. Let me get to
You
this.
know, can I ask you this?
Oh yeah,
Do
yeah.
you feel like she earned the right to sit there
No,
with them?
no,
And that's what pisses me off. Is that she
no.
didn't earn the right to sit in that studio and talk to them on that platform, and for her to come in there and do that, and to me that just I'm
There's
done.
no
I'm good.
if they were up and coming, I might even look the other way. If they were up and coming show and they're trying to draw, they are one of the top rated morning shows in the entire country. You don't need Nikki Haley on the show.
At all, especially because nobody she really wants to connect to is going to be listening. The
You don't
people
need
that
it.
she wants to connect with don't listen to the Breakfast Club. So y'all let her come in y'all house, crap all over the place for who? No, but none of your listeners wanted to hear that crap she had to say.
Right, and when given the opportunity to call Trump a racist, she dodged that as well.
Of,
So
of course she did.
So no, she did not just earn that. I did want to say here, Facebook user says Breakfast Club was good before the drama. Then I believe Angela was mixed. I would never hear her acknowledge her Asian side. Yeah, I don't know what I never
That
knew
was
what.
Robert in Houston.
Okay, I never knew what Angela Yee was. To be honest with you, so I'm gonna take your word on that. Again, thank you guys for watching. We're gonna flip it up here. Bruce Bolter is helping produce the show today because he threw something up. He said, "Let's get to Vince shitting during a three-way already." So, so for people who are not aware, well, I don't know how you are not aware. If you're close to any of our ages here, you know what the WWF was. You know what the WWE is. You know Vince McMahon and his family owned and ran it till it became a public company. Now, what I didn't know, or I forgot actually, the UFC bought the WWE. And I forgot about that part of the story. And I think they go by, I forget what the name of that parent company is. I have it here. Or I did have it here. I went to look at Shaq's ex-wife here. Sorry, pull it back up. Anyway,
Don't go back too far.
TKO is the name. TKO is the name of the company.
Yeah.
So Vince McMahon has now stepped down as a week ago as the chairman of the WWE amongst sexual assault allegations, which were brought by a ex-employee who they gave a hush hush, shut the fuck up money to. And I do want to say this before we get too deep into it, and we're going to get to everything you want to talk about, Bruce. The reason this came to light was because the deal they made was that she would be paid X amount of money. Somebody forgot to cut the checks to her. So that voided the deal and allowed for all of this to come to the light. Dion, sir, I got more, but I will let you jump on and give your thoughts on some of this while I try to pull some of this out.
I did not know that was the reason why that happened. I had heard because it was Slim Jim was threatening to pull their sponsorship, which is they go back to the
Macho
early
Man.
'80s.
Yeah.
Yeah, with their sponsorship deal, and they're a big part of what they do over there. And now I'm what I'm understanding is that Slim Jim got word of this and was like, "Yo, we don't want no part of this man, and until he's gone, we can't do business here anymore." And that kind of what was the impetus to kick the can and make the snowball roll down the hill to get Vince on up out of there. Because at one point, um, he had it in the contract that he was in charge. The
One,
board,
100%.
no matter what they wanted, he couldn't go nowhere. So for him to go from that to where he is now, to where he has no control, I mean, he created this thing. he was a ruthless businessman in the 80s and 90s when it comes to the competition and what he did for the industry of wrestling. And he's the Steve Jobs, Bill Gates type level mind for where the business is today.
Because before, for people who don't know, that wrestling was a regional sport, and everyone kind of stayed within their region: East Coast, Midwest, South, West, that type of thing. And it was so divided, and it was so serious about that division that when he took the company over from his dad, I believe, his father was worried for his safety when his son started to try to merge and started to snipe wrestlers from these other divisions, if you will. Because to your point, he had this bigger grand design in his mind that this is going to be so great, so big. And again, these are the things that from some of the people who've done some of the worst things, and we're going to get into this worst things. But when you look at people in totality and find some of the things that are just genius about them, and the bravery, I'm going to say, for him, because I'm sure he probably could have been hurt by some of these other bosses back in the day. The bravery it took to take that company from where it was to your point to where it is today, and being a part of the UFC and the money that's being made and so on and so forth. I'm jumping a little bit ahead because I feel like this ties into what I was going to say anyway. To think that there is not a McMahon in any position of real power at that company now, I find to be very sad. Not sad that he's gone, but sad that the generations coming behind him, not his daughter, not his son, not their children. I think the closest we get to any family that I can think off the top of my head that is a part of anything of power is his son-in-law, who used to be Triple H, the wrestler Triple H, if you guys are a fan or ever been a fan of the WWF or WWE. To have built something like that and not have a McMahon in place to take it and run it and take it to the next level is one of the saddest parts of this for me, outside of the things we are going to talk about, the things that he did. But from a business side, absolutely just bananas to me that that's the case. That he's put his family in
Well,
that position.
for me, it's crazy that Dana White slapped his wife on video and literally had zero consequences, right? And Vince McMahon has been a monster for years, and it took a glitch in the system and Slim Jim to bring him down. Dana White is nowhere near on the level of Vince McMahon when it comes to their. Well, maybe he is, because Dana White turned the UFC into something that
Yeah, 100%.
is a household thing. So to me, maybe this is a perfect contrast to where you can see that Vince was in charge of something that was not real. Dana White's in charge of something that is real and barbaric. Now, Dana slaps his wife on camera. Nobody says anything. Vince has done a shit ton of things behind the scenes, and it takes some stop checks and Slim Jim being like, yo, we heard about this. We're out. And them to be like, okay, we'll take care of it. So to me, it's amazing how insulated these guys are, because they're the Michael Jordans of their respective businesses. And these scandals, like, I don't know. When you were talking about, you know, how he came up, it just really just dawned on me how influential he is in his business. It would be like it's kind of like Trump having all these felonies. It's like this stuff's not supposed to be going down.
And look at all the competitors. When you think about all the competitors that have tried to rise up against them, they've somehow figured out a way to stay on top and push you back and keep you at bay. I think this latest one, and I'm not a wrestling fan anymore. I'm a grown man, so I can't keep up with everything now that is out there. But Bruce here says the WWE cut off the checks once they investigated Vince. So the WWE started investigating this, and I had the verbiage up in front of me, and I will have to go back and try to find it here. There it is, right here in front of me. I apologize. I'm gonna read from here. Let's see. Grant, that's the name of the woman, it's her last name. Grant signed a non-disclosure agreement in 2022 in connection with an agreement from Vince McMahon to pay her $3 million. WWE started a board investigation that same year after it received an anonymous tip about the improper relationship. So the WWE sounds like, and when I say the WWE, sounds like the parent company that owns them in UFC were not aware of this money that was being paid out. And according to one of our master debaters here, Bruce, he's usually on point with his information. He normally doesn't speak unless he's accurate. So I'm going to go with it. According to him, the WWE was not aware of this agreement and stopped cutting these checks, which voided the NDA and allowed everything to come to the surface. And then to your point, Slim Jim said, "What the fuck is going on here? We're going to need all them Slim Jims back. We're going to get the fuck up out of it. We should have left when Macho Man died. We stayed here way too long. I don't know why we still here. Get your coats. Let's go."
Not get your coats.
Get your
There's
coats.
it's not a Slim Jim week where they get to hang out for 7 days and talk about how great Macho Man was.
We stay here too long. Slim Jims don't even snap anymore. Let's get up out of here. Let's go.
No, I mean, to me, it's one of those things where, like, I can see how the allegations, like these hush payments that he's making, like, I understand how these dudes who never get told no think it's okay to do some of the crap they do, but at the same time, I'm always like, yo, how could you ever even want to think to do that to somebody? Like, how do you get to a place where you think, yeah, this is an okay thing to do because I'm me? Like, that to me is the wildest thing out of all the stuff that I've heard. It's
This is the weird. No, let's take it to another level. And thank you guys again for watching the show. Let's take it to another level, Di. The 67-page lawsuit, and I'm reading this from ESPN article. The 67-page lawsuit from Janelle Grant, who worked in the company's legal and talent departments, includes allegations that McMahon, now 78, forced her into a sexual relationship in order for her to get and keep a job, and passed around pornographic pictures and videos of her to other men, including other WWE employees. It was also said, and this is why he's in trouble now. Another article just dropped that now the federal prosecutors are looking into him for sex trafficking, because allegedly he was sending her around the country, and she was supposed to be in hotel rooms waiting for the other WWE employees, and she was kind of like being used as a bonus for those employees. Then she was supposed to call him and tell him about what happened between her and that WWE employee in that hotel room in whatever city and state that he had sent her to be a bonus chip for an employee.
that. I mean, that to me is just so like, how do you even think that that's okay? Like, irregardless of the illegalities of it, like what?
Yeah, it's there is something to. So I guess this is it, and you guys tell me what you think about this. Okay, so Dave Hackles jumped into. He says the board of directors had cut off the check, so he and Bruce are on the same board, on the same beat with that one. Here's my thing, Dion. What do you think comes first? You already have low morals, then you get money, or you get money and then your morals become less because you have the money and the power. It,
See, that's a tough
and what
one
do you
to
guys
me.
think too? What do you guys think too? I would love to know.
I honestly think that if you start with low morals, you're never going to get with a financial increase. Like, that is just going to make it a lot worse. However, I understand that there are people who can be corrupted once they reach a certain level. So for them to reach the highest level there is, to become the most influential person in the thing that you do, whether it be, to be the Michael Jordan of your thing. I mean, I can see how you could become corrupted when you're the guy and no one can say no to you. I mean, no one could say no to that man for years if that's the thing that you wanted to do. If you want to be at the top of your field, he was the man. And whatever he said was law. So, of course, there's going to be some outrageous shit that is going down there. I mean, with just the steroid things, all the wrestlers that died, when Bret Hart's brother fell from the ceiling of they continued on with the pay-per-view. Like, yeah, that guy, he started with low morals, got paid, and the morals did not increase at all.
Look, we'll go here. So to get to what Bruce kind of was hinting to, there is something. The story also came out. I believe this is in the lawsuit that Vince McMahon was in a three-way, and the other individual, along with this woman, was supposedly Brock Lesnar, and there's supposed to be some three-way action happening, and there was some defecation he did onto her. Then there's
Yeah.
also a story, it might be the same night, where Brock drank too much at dinner, so really couldn't perform. So he forced this woman to kind of role play with him, where he pretended to be Brock Lesnar and kind of battered her, putting her in different moves and headlocks and having the type of sex that's does not sound very friendly at all. And
It's not funny, but it's funny to
I no
think
no I the
that
reason I laugh because I can't believe this dude would. Here's where I'm at with it. I was thinking about this when you were talking. If someone could go back to these powerful men, and a lot of cases we've seen over the last few years, Caucasian men, and say, bro, you probably don't want to be doing this because in about 20 to 30 years, we're going to be able to go back and see everything you did, everything you said. You people in your position will be weakened. The people you have control over now will be able to speak out against you. So I'm saying you do what you want to do, bro. But I'm telling you what's coming 20 to 30 years, which seems like a long way away, but it's really not that long. That's really not that far off. Because these men, I mean, the way that they are being unpantsed in front of the entire world, I find to be absolutely fascinating. Because, and the reason I was giggling is because if you knew that, there's no way you shit on this woman in a hotel room. There's no way you put her in headlocks. There's no way you're passing her around. But you think this stuff is never going to come out. You think this is going to be your world. We're all living in it. And this is this way until I take my last breath.
I, it's one of those things where if you, I, the reason why I was laughing is because the idea that he's supposed to be having sex with this woman and he just starts putting her in wrestling holds naked. It's like this dude is in his 70s. He was in his 60s, I think, when this was happening. I don't know how old he was. But the idea of a dude that old doing that to a young woman, thinking it's okay, is that's hilarious to me. Like this guy's a fucking buffoon.
Well,
Like
Dave,
of course he would do some stupid shit like that. I mean, he's in charge of wrestling, which is
well, to Dave's point here, Dave says it's crazy how many other big name CEOs do the same thing. Vince just got caught. And that's my point, Dave. Someone said this. It might have been actually on the damn Breakfast Club. Now that I'm thinking about it. I don't remember who said this. No, it wasn't. It was somewhere else. I can't remember who said it. They said they think 2024 will be the year of this, where there's going to be more high profile men who are going to be pulled out here into the public spotlight for shit that they've done. So, Dave, I agree, but I disagree. It is crazy, but I think there's more to come in the year 2024. I don't think these people are even close to being done spotlighting these motherfuckers for the shit that they've done.
I don't think I don't think it's over either, but it's one of those things where you can this pattern. It's always the same thing for these type of men. It's always a disgruntled woman out there somewhere who figures out how to record them, like the Donald Sterling thing. It's like I don't know what it is about how these men give up their entire lives for women they don't treat right. It is mind boggling how often it happens
Because it's
when
not the
you really
first
think
one.
about it.
Because it's not the first
Yeah,
one.
but
You've been doing it and getting away with it.
it's the same story over and over and over again. And then you would think that, if you finally made it to that level as a man, you would think that there's a long line of those guys behind you who are like, don't end up like me, young man. And yet somehow That's I guess that the culture of being a man in that,
In that time
you
period?
know. Well, just no, just CEOs in general. Just the way that every time they get taken down, it's usually the same two reasons. It's money laundering or it's a woman that they did unspeakable things to.
Yeah, yeah, because look at, but and that's why I said, is it the morals, the low morals, and then the money just kind of compounds it, or do you get the money and the access, and then it's like I through a conversation, someone was telling me about executives, some of the executives in Hollywood, and going back to kind of what we talked about with Cat Williams and some of the stuff he touched on when he was on the shade club Shade Shade, and an executive said, "I'm not gay. I make men do this because I want to see if I can." Now I say, you are gay because you can easily make them wash your car or clean your house if you want to make them to do something. But his mindset,
ain't nothing, ain't nothing saying commitment. Like
but to this executive's thought process, not gay.
anybody can wash your car.
That's a good comeback. Were you in this conversation with that
No,
guy?
I'm just saying. You see, you the way you framed it, I'm like, what do you mean?
Hey
That
man, look. Okay, we're not gonna go there.
you
Face,
say you say you could wash my car, and I'm like, no, that's not the same level of commitment
bro.
at all.
Facebook
I guarantee
user Facebook user says she set him up like a creepy old man. He fell for it. Who said that?
Robert in Houston.
Robert. He did not set. She did not set him up. This dude. I'm surprised there's only one female that's come out. I'm surprised there's not a bunch of females rolling out. I'm waiting for that.
I bet you if there's a bunch of NDAs that were signed, that checks got cut off, so there will be more coming. I
Well,
can
you know
promise
what?
you
You
that.
know what? You're right because in here I read that there were several different lawsuits. They TKO also. Let me see. WWE. Nope. 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 Sorry. Sorry. Anyway, they said there was some other. There's a ton of money. I thought it was like 12, 13 million that TKO found out in their investigation that he had dealt out for lawsuits.
It was 12 million total to I think
Yeah.
each woman was getting like $4 million.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So let me go back to some comments here. He got sloppy and his wife found out. Okay, all right, Bruce. Bruce also says John Laurinaitis has a lawyer making him out to be a victim too. Bruce, can you delve into that a little bit more with us and let us know exactly what happened with the John before I start commenting or take it to the group? Facebook user says if a billionaire at first attempt tried to harass me, and you're my boss, believe I'm suing you. And so here's what I would
Hold
say.
on.
Oh, go ahead. Go
Robert
ahead.
Robert said if a billionaire at first attempt tried to harass me and you're my boss, best believe I'm suing or threatening. And I don't want to victim blame here, but he was the guy. That's what I'm saying. Like there wasn't anybody to tell Vince McMahon on because he was wrestling. So he did all these things outside of going to the police and the criminal. And I'm pretty sure he's going to have to face criminal charges for that, right? Every time he sent her off, if she can
The, the,
document,
that's what I'm saying. The federal prosecutors are now looking into sex trafficking charges,
right?
allegations on him now. So
So I mean, outside of that, how else was she supposed to bring him down? He was he made all the decisions, you know.
Bruce, okay, so Bruce says John was accused of also assaulting her, but he claims that Vince forced him to do it with power. Whatever, bro. Whatever.
I love how dismissive you are of that. Like, yeah, nobody made you do that.
Well, I'm going to be dismissive of it because, and it's going to be weird because of what I'm getting ready to say next. And I just don't give any men, I don't give men the same, I guess, the same room I give women and stuff like this. And so what I am going to say is, when it comes to men, whether they're billionaires or they got $2 in their pocket, if they're predators, they're predators. And one thing predators know how to do, especially by the time they get to the age Vince McMahon is at 78, and I'm going to back it up, let's say 50, they know how to pick the prey that they're going for. So whether it's Miss Grant or maybe whatever other woman it was, he knew who he was going for, why he was going for that, and probably got away with it for a while until that person decided to say no. But I would never put this type of thing, because I've heard men say she could have quit, she could have whatever. I don't know her entire situation there. Maybe she couldn't quit. Maybe she needed that fucking job, or maybe he threatened her. If you quit, I'll make sure you never get another job. I don't. I have no idea. But what I do know is about men, and I've tried to preach this to women. My sister and other females that I've known and been related to. You guys, you're smarter than us in a lot of different ways. But one thing we got you beat on, we know how to hunt and how to capture whatever it is we are hunting and capturing. Whether that be out in the woods somewhere, or whether that be we out at a bar on a Saturday night. And that's just the way that is.
Um, I don't disagree with he knew what he was doing and he picked her and he groomed her and that type of thing. But the idea that she could just quit and get another job, that works for, you know, banks when there's lots of them, but he's the name in wrestling.
Yeah.
The other company is, if you go there, he's going to do everything in his power to make your life a living hell. So it wasn't like she could just quit and go do something. She spent her whole life trying to do this. And it's like, I just don't like that. Oh, go do something else idea. Like,
No,
that's not,
and to emphasize your point, Bruce shared something else with us. He says those were his exact words. Quote: "You say a word, you will deal with powerful attorneys and never work again."
and if you watch that guy become who he was, you best believe he meant what he said, you know? So to me, the idea that you can get money and get away with these things, even if you had, you know, regular morals before you got rich. I think you always start off with shitty morals. I don't believe in the corruption thing, because at that point you have a choice to make. Whereas if you start on the bottom and you never grow, that doesn't surprise me.
And
But
I'm
you
with
get to make a choice at that
well,
level.
well, I'm with you there because I've always been a believer that money doesn't change you; it only magnifies who you already were. So that's always been my thought about it. So I agree with you. People think money changes you. I do believe that money changes people around you. Those are the motherfuckers who change around you, to a certain extent. But you, motherfucker, if you were a broke motherfucker who did not know how to use money before, and I gave you $1 million in a very short period of time, you'll be a broke motherfucker again. If you were an asshole, stingy person before you had any money, if I gave you $1 million, you're still gonna be a stingy asshole. So, and the opposite of that would be true as well if you have an opposite personality to that, and we gave you money. No, there's absolutely no way that he was this goody good guy, and somehow he got flushed with cash, and all of a sudden, ah, he,
Yeah.
in my humble opinion. Facebook user here, I'm scrolling back up, says, "Look at Diddy and Cassie's situation. Shake my head," and that's another good one there
Aaliyah.
as well. Aaliyah, that is another good one too. Aaliyah, but Diddy's another one. But again, to go back and tell Diddy, bro, all your shit's gonna come. You don't believe me, but it's all coming to light because all we have heard for 20, 30 years when it comes to Diddy is these hints about shit that he's done. And every once in a while something got out. Like he hit that dude over the head with that champagne bottle. I don't know how many years ago. It was quite some time ago. But every once in a while something would really get out and make the news. But all the rest of it was just hints, hints, hints. And then here you go. You get the full entree. And you're like, holy shit. And we're all surprised, but we shouldn't be surprised because there's been hints along the way of what type of man this guy is and was.
Yeah. There is definitely a pattern that is a public pattern of behavior from these type of people, to where you can be like, it normally never comes out of left field, right?
Right.
It's I'm not saying that it never happens, but it's rare for it to be like, what, that guy did all of that. Normally there's some breadcrumbs you can follow to the forest. But I don't. I just, to me, because there was nobody there to stop him from doing what he was doing. I'm I'm shocked that the number is just 12 million. I'm flabbergasted that in 30 years of no one being able to check you, that's the only, like, I'm not saying you should give him a round of applause, but Jesus Christ, just, you know, no one can tell you, like, to be a dictator. Like, I want people to really, like, put them, like, to be the king, to have nobody be able to tell you no, with oodles amounts of money and control.
That's why.
I think that's the mindset that Vince McMahon was in for years. And so it's, to me, it's different. Like, if he was in a different type of industry where, there were lots of CEOs that could challenge him and make it hard for him, I don't, maybe the behavior would change. But to be the emperor and president and, you know,
I was reading the article because his daughter Stephanie McMahon used to play a character in the show as well, the WWE. And at one point, I was reading an article, and I'm gonna paraphrase the article. It said it's really creepy after you find all these things out about him, because then you go back and you think about some of the things his daughter said about him when she was playing her character. And one of the things, again, I'm paraphrasing, was, "Yeah, I remember all the things that your friends used to tell me that I would do for them when I was, because you said I would when I was 17 years old." Like, who adds this in as a line about your own father when you're going back and forth on television? Where does that even come from? You know what I mean? And then to have this
yeah,
be something that comes out, and I'm like, were you trying to pimp your own daughter out too? That's kind of where my mind went. Because Stephanie was an attractive young lady back during. I don't know what she looks like now, but she was during those times. But I'm like, were you trying to pimp your own daughter out as well? Just kind of where my mind went. Just reading that article.
well, I mean, for the culture of the industry itself, it's entertainment. So, there's a spectacle, and we all know that the seedy side of the entertainment industry is one of the most vile places on the planet. With all that going on and being the head honcho in charge, I don't see how he could get. I don't. This is gonna sound horrible to say, but for it to be a number that low,
I'm gonna be shocked. I'm with you. I'm gonna be shocked if
I'm
the
I'm
number doesn't grow.
I because nobody was there to check this guy, and it's wrestling. Like, it's all fake. None of it's real. They're printing money off that if this stops tomorrow, nothing will happen to the world other than those people will be out. Like, it's not important to anything, but he was the emperor of it,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
that's mind blowing. Because I was a huge wrestling fan as a kid.
I was
You
as
know,
well. And with the way you're putting it, you don't even think about it. Well, I don't think I've ever thought about it that way till we started talking about it. You're right. WWE was the only fucking show in town. So if you wanted the job in this business, whether in the ring or out of it, this is the only fucking place to go. Or unless you're gonna start your own shit, off in a little
backyard wrestling.
backyard wrestling, or if you want to get indoors, you can go rent a VFW hall, I guess, with high ceilings. But if you want to play, this is the only fucking game in town. And I think that, to your point, takes us to another level in terms of the amount of power that this man was able to have for 30 years over men and women in different ways,
Yeah,
actually.
I mean, I've heard some story. I mean, we can go back to some of the programming that he allowed about how, they always had black people in racist storylines. That goes back decades. But, it's just, it wasn't really until we started talking about that it dawned on me on just how important Vince McMahon is to what wrestling is today. Like, I had never thought of him to be on the Michael Jordan level of what they did for their industry. But now that I think about it, it's like there is nobody above Vince McMahon when it comes to wrestling.
And that's the other sad thing too, I would say, is to the point you're making, when you have been such an important piece of an industry, if he had a died before all this came out, that's the only thing we would talk about. But now the first thing and the majority of what everybody would talk about will be these NDAs, the shitting on this woman, the passing her around, the fact that federal prosecutors are looking at you for sex trafficking because you're sending a woman across state lines to have forcing her to have sex. All these things. If you had died a year ago, man, Vince McMahon, what a guy he was. Remember when he took regional wrestling and turned it into this industry?
It's crazy is because there were always going to be people who'd be like, what about all the other things that he did that were so awful, but yet it was the pooping on someone else and sending her across the country to be done to whatever by whom he designated. That's the thing that gets him to, because like you said, if he died a year ago and none of this stuff comes out, the worst thing he would be is the guy who let the show continue after one of his entertainers passed away. That would have been the worst thing he did. But now it's all this other stuff of how he, to which
Well, because here's the
that
difference.
to me that's crazier. The fact that someone died and that should be the worst thing that you could happen is that someone died and that you went on with the show. But that's nowhere near as bad as all this stuff that he's doing.
Well, because one, no one cares about wrestlers. Just keep jumping off that ring and landing on that mat. That's probably not really in 30 years they haven't probably improved, so you don't hurt yourself. No one cares. Just like football players. We care for a minute that they get concussions and that they don't get insurance, but then or weren't getting insurance. But then we move on until when's the Super Bowl coming back? How come I can't get my hits? And what's going on with these? And
I want to see Taylor Swift.
we just move on. Just keep giving me entertainment, sir. I don't care what happens to you. If we could go back to the days of the Romans and they could throw motherfuckers into a pit with lions and watch that shit, we would, because we just want to be entertained.
The monkey always dances.
Always. And so the only thing for Vince on this one is the one thing we would not allow you to abuse women. We will not stand for that anymore. Maybe we would have stood for it in the 80s and the 90s and the early 2000s. But today, that shit is null and void. We will not stand for it. We will not. And when I say we, I mean the community at large.
Yeah, I agree with you. I hope the number doesn't grow, but 4 or 5 is to me is just shockingly small for how detestable of a human he is with all the power that he wielded for as long as he did.
I don't know who said this. Said sorry, helping with homework. What we talking about?
That's Lee Jones. What up,
Lee,
Lee?
what's up, Lee? Is this Lee also said? I read an article where she said she had to tell Vince no, she wouldn't to a storyline, so she was pregnant by him, or say she was
That
pregnant by him.
no, that was Courtney Ross. What up, Courtney?
What's, I don't know about that one. I don't.
I I I
Is that
haven't heard about that
is that
either.
something? Is that something with his wife's or the wife with his daughter Stephanie? Is that what you're saying, Courtney? Can you let me know if that's what you're saying with that one there? Let's see here. Something else I wanted to put here. Carla said, I think at one point she did what she did because she liked the power and money. When she started noticing that it was coming to an end, she then had morals.
The woman?
Are you talking about the woman or are you talking about Stephanie, Carla? Who are you talking about if you're still there? Yes, Stephanie said no to that storyline. So, wow.
But, Patrice O'Neill wrote for the WF for a while in the late 90s and early thousands. So they had comedy in the room, and I was a huge fan during the Attitude Era, which if you go back and watch that stuff nowadays, I'm surprised wrestling's still around because none of that is flying on television today.
No,
None of it.
no.
So it's he. Bill Burr has a great bit about people dying just a tad too late, and I think you nailed it with Vince. If he'd have died a couple of years ago, and none of this stuff ever came to light, Yeah, because there's no coming back from this stuff.
I tell people all the time, I do my best not to put myself in a position where I can't have what I want to have in 10, 15, 20 years. I use Kevin Hart because he's a comic. When they were going to have Kevin host the Oscars, but they wanted him to apologize for a third time or whatever it was because of that joke that he told about his son and a Barbie dollhouse and all that. I'm not going to do the bit. I think we all know what I'm talking about. And he refused to do it, so he lost that spot. I do my best not to be. If you guys ever notice, there's certain things that we don't talk about on the show. There's certain things when it looks like it's going to get close to the line. I say, okay, we're gonna let's move on. That's because I would not let either one of us lose an opportunity down the road because one of your kids watches a show that you used to love and say, Mom, Dad, I can't believe you used to watch that. They were so wrong. And then them and their friends come together and keep me from hosting the Oscars. Would not let it happen, sir. Would not let it happen. So the fact that these guys, like, we are now in an in an era where, let's say from the year, where we 2024, so let's say from the year 2000, hopefully 15 on, you should have been wise enough to be watching your fucking P's and Q's so you don't get busted by something come 2050. And it's weird because you don't know what's gonna be 2050. I know. But you should be on your fucking P's and Q's now because you at least have the knowledge to know that these people are looking at everything. They have nothing else better to do than to pretend to be a research team and to come back and try to take you down.
Listen, if you see me in a video in 2050 and it's me peeing on the first sex robots that I ever invented, I go ahead and cancel me. Go ahead. I don't care. They were robots. I know y'all got all the fancy robots nowadays, but in my day, you had to crank that thing with a giant.
Let me tell you something. In 2050, your sex robot will have rights. So they will come back and get you. Your sex robot will somehow be a citizen. Okay, so you better not be peeing on that sex robot. She's gonna be in a whole lot of. You have a bunch of sex robots marching outside of your show at the arena, talking about getting Dion out of town. He peed on me.
I just, the idea that social media is the reason why we found out so much we found out about some of our heroes. I don't know about you, but when I was a kid, Vince McMahon was a big deal. Like, they were important to me.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
one of the most important things in my life at the time when I was a kid. It was wrestling. I didn't care about anything that was going on in the world. It was wrestling and it was basketball. Those were my two favorite things as a
One hundred
kid.
percent.
And so I would, any chance I got to watch it, I was glued. I didn't care what day it was. I watched reruns of old wrestling for years. We used to rent video from Blockbuster at my grandmother's house. I mean, I just grew up on wrestling.
Even
Obviously, I got older and I don't care about it anymore. But to see a guy that was the king fall like this, and now that I think about it, I'm like, Tiger. This kind of happened to Tiger Woods, not in the same negative. Like, Tiger wasn't beating his wife, or he was just cheating on her, right? But he was another guy that was just like, he's nothing moves in his field without him saying so.
but
And
his level of arrogance irritates me, and it irritated me because of this. Because as dominant as he was, I love Tiger. I wear the polos. I used to wear the polos and the slacks when I would golf and just loved them. But then I started golfing because of Tiger. That's how influential he was for me. But to get to a point, and you'll probably agree with me with this, to get to a point where you are a black man, and I don't care what he wants to say he is, you get to be a black man dominant in a sport that there's not a lot of people who look like you, and to not take care of that throne better than you did because you don't recognize that no matter how much money you're making them, they're more than happy to take you down a peg or two if they get an opportunity. That's the part with Tiger that drives me absolutely bonkers when I think about it. Absolutely bonkers. To be
He
to be as haphazard as he was with his life and his position drives me nuts.
of all the Mount Rushmore level people, he didn't take care of his legacy at all. I think his legacy is the most tarnished out of all the people who have reached the pinnacle of their respective fields when it comes to sports and entertainment. Like Tiger Woods reached a level that not very many people reach. And then he crudted up his own legacy. Like if you he doesn't stand well next to LeBron James, he doesn't stand well next to Michael Jordan, he doesn't stand well next to Muhammad Ali, legacy wise. So and I look at Vince and I'm like, this man's legacy was amazing. And then you hear all this stuff, and I was like, that's what his legacy is gonna be. All the work, all the stuff, literally taking it from a fractional regional entity into becoming the number one thing in the world. There is no bigger wrestling company in the world than WWE.
And you make a great point because people will ask me, what is it you're looking for in your career? What are you immortality is what I'm looking for. I want everything that comes with that, obviously. The money, the fame, the whatever. Immortality is what I want. And that's just another way to say legacy. That is what, and an untarnished one. That is what I want out of my career. I want to be able to be spoken about in such heights. That's what I want. And again, for Tiger not to be there, because you're right. When Tiger dies, hopefully years from now, but when he goes, you'll talk about all the majors. You'll talk about his competitive spirit. You'll talk about what he did when he was a collegiate golfer. But you will also talk about when his fucking wife tried to attack him with a fucking golf club and he was high on drugs and he crashed into and then they had to take him. You'll talk about all of that. And you'll talk about how close he was. The other thing they'll bring up is, oh, he was so close to catching Jack. So close. If this just hadn't happened, because if that doesn't happen, he doesn't get into the accident. If he doesn't get into the accident, he doesn't have to have the surgeries and his legs and all these other things that. And again, when you are in the atmosphere with or the stratosphere with the Michael Jordans and so on and so forth, the people you mentioned, there are people waiting to take you down a peg. And you just gave it to him. Vince McMahon, because you gave it to him. Tiger, you gave it to him. And so many others. Puffy, you gave it to him.
But I think
Puffy would have been compared as he has been if he had died to Barry Gordy. That's where people were putting him. Now, I'm not sure if he ever deserved that, but that's where they were putting him. Even with everything that Barry Gordy has done and robbed people for money, Barry Gordy...
Puffy did it too.
Right. They still have been thought about up here. And what took you down was how you treated women and what you did to that poor girl, and God only knows who else you did that shit to. But, man, not to take care of your legacy, man.
So to me, I think those two things are kind of intertwined when we have this conversation of being the Mount Rushmore level type of person. The people who care about the legacy are the ones who, seem to be able to keep their morals in check when it comes to having that amount of power. Mm-hmm. Whereas other people who I guess don't give a shit about their legacy kind of go willy-nilly with it. And then they always crash and burn, But it's so rare to reach a Mount Rushmore level of a legacy and to just see it crash and burn. And somebody that, was a big impact on my young life. That I'm really just now starting to think about how amazing that is. And like, what would if I put myself in those shoes to be in charge of everything that happened, how would I conduct myself? And I can't for the life of me think of any reason whatsoever to be in these type of situations that are alleged in this lawsuit, where you're flying this girl around to be like, if I reached that, I wouldn't want. I hate taking advantage of people. I really do. Mm-hmm. It bothers me to my soul.
Yep.
I don't like it. And to just to be that high up and take advantage of people like that because no one can check you. It's just that irks the shit out of me.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you and I talk about this. We hate bullies. We don't like, even when I was the smallest kid on the playground, you're not gonna. I wouldn't let you bully people. I don't like bullies. I never, ever, ever have. And that's what stuff like this reeks of, just bullying. And I don't know if it comes because you didn't have it when you were a kid, so you thought the minute I got the power, I'm gonna. I don't know where in there. I don't know if there's a screw missing that you just weren't born with all of the fucking screws you should have been. I just don't like bullies. Facebook user here says, I just got here, sex robots. Yes, Dion is talking about peeing on the sex robot. I'm trying to tell him those sex robots are going to be citizens, so he better not be. He'll still
That
find
was
his sitting in front of Congress.
that was Robert Scott Brock.
All right. Facebook user says, I was just telling my sons that when I was a young teen, I would look forward to WWE every week. It's nostalgic. So much changes with time. Not
That
sure
was Roxy.
or Roxy. Roxy, I remember they did it for a minute and then it just went away. I don't know if you remember this, Dion. Remember sometimes they would do the Saturday night wrestling match late at night? Like instead of SNL for some reason, they would do like the Saturday night main
It would
event,
be
whatever.
yeah.
Yeah, and I used to look so forward to that. What I was gonna say to you as well, you already knew who's gonna win. You knew Hulk Hogan was gonna be in this match, and then he's gonna get beat up, and then he's gonna be laid on the ground. And just when you thought it was gonna be over, somehow he starts shaking, and you didn't even mind that he didn't have all the follicles on his head. He still looked cool, and he would just shake, and he'd get up, and then someone would try to hit him with that big boot, and he'd catch it, and he'd spin him around and grab him, pick him up, and come off the rope, hit him with it, and then lay on top of 1, 2, 3, and then they start playing I'm an All-American, and then and all this bullshit. It ended the same way, but you loved it anyway. It was such a great show to watch as a child. It's just, just great.
You were breaking it down there, and it got me thinking. It's literally just a soap opera with
100%.
with bodies. The heels turn good, and then the good guys go bad. It's literally, and it's they've literally just changed the characters, but they literally all do the exact same things. And it sustains itself because there's always a younger generation that gets exposed to it. Like I've tried to watch wrestling, but they all use their real names. Like the mystique is gone.
Earl.
The you know what I mean? It's like I don't want to see what happens with Roger Collins versus John George. Like who? What? Those guys were supposed to get beat up during the commercial when I was a kid. Now they're the champion. That's why I'm not into it. But I just it's crazy that you can grow out of it, but it's its own thing. I'm never gonna grow out of sports.
I've kind of grown out of sports.
I love watching it, even though I don't like some of the things that are happening. It's you know the art of the game itself, the sport of basketball, the sport of football. I'm always gonna love that. That's never gonna leave me. I don't think there's anything that could happen in those instances where I would give up the game forever.
I'm growing out of it, and I think partially just because my mind is just focused elsewhere. Some of it is the old man stuff. The game isn't what it used to be, especially if we're talking about basketball, which I used to love. Wanted to grow up and be Jordan or Isaiah Thomas at minimum. I grew up. I was pretty damn good at it. I'm just not. I'm just not with it, and a lot of it's just because I got other shit to do, and I find the game to be quite boring now as well with the way that it is. I do. I don't. I don't find one-on-one play to be that fantastic. I've seen people dunk before, unless you were just doing something fascinating. Like I found some clips today on IG of Grant Hill. I forgot how fucking great Grant Hill was, partially because he was a fucking Duke Blue Devil, and I hate Duke. But just watching some of the clips, and I forgot how high he got up and what he did to people and moves he would put on people, even like Scottie Pippen, who was one of the premier defenders during that time. But I just can't. I can't get behind it, and a lot of it again. I love baseball. I love football. These are sports I used to enjoy. Golf, a lot of it. I just don't have the time. And part of it is I see what they've done, where they've tried to move the schedule and move the draft and the seasons and everything to try to dominate your time for the entire fucking year. I don't have time like that anymore. I just don't, and so that's part of it for me. I'd rather try to put myself in a position to own a fucking team, or at least be told by a bunch of old rich white guys, "No, we're not letting your black ass in the club." At least
Byron Allen.
I'd rather put myself in a position to be turned down than to be sitting watching. But I think for you, you normally have a couple shekels on a game more often than not. So I think that is part of probably your love for these
Well,
sports.
I still loved sports when I wasn't gambling on it. I think if anything, gambling has made me watch games I would have never watched to begin with. I'll watch the Bears versus the Packers on a you know Monday night game where normally if I didn't have any money, I don't fucking care who wins between. I can't stand either one of those teams, right? So the gambling aspect of it, because I do enjoy the sport, made me watch two teams that I generally don't care for,
Right. Right.
and
Which is what the
so
gambling is, and that's what the gambling is for. That's why they got
yeah,
into bed with Vegas, because they wanted to get those, those average, not average, those casual eyeballs, those casual gamblers who gonna throw two pennies down. But now I'm focused on this fucking game, and that turns into more dollars, more dollars, more dollars for them. Great show, great show. You guys have been
it
fun.
wasn't. Yeah, it was. You got me thinking about legacy. With that because he is one of the most. He's the most famous man in his industry, and for him to go down like this, that's wild to me.
I was talking to someone about legacy and immortality and getting into a conversation with about it a little bit deeper. And Facebook user here says, "Good seeing you guys. Good seeing you too. We're not quite done, so I hope you're not
That
leaving yet."
that that was Robert.
Robert, hang on there. Hang on, Robert. We're not quite out of here. And we got to talking about legacy, and my thought on it is, as a human being, man or woman, there's a lot of different things you can do. I know some people think having a family and raising those children right and all the different things can take your legacy to the next level and all those things. And I'm not saying that it can't, but what I will say is there's no guarantees, because there's a lot of different things can happen when you're raising kids and you send them out there to the world. You don't know what they're going to turn out. But one thing you can do in controlling your legacy is how you manage yourself, and how you treat others, to your point, and putting yourself in the position to make your name last forever. The example I always like to use is George Lucas. George Lucas's name is on a building on the campus of USC. I don't give a shit what his kids do. I don't care if Star Wars, they never make another Star Wars movie. When George Lucas takes his last breath, that building will still be there with his name still on it. That's fucking immortality. That's fucking legacy.
Yeah, I mean, it's not. They might rename the building. You never know.
That man's
So
he's done too much and given. There's no way. You know what you would have to do to surpass George Lucas? What money you'd have to give for them to go up there and scrape those letters off? Not gonna happen. Not gonna happen.
I'm just saying, if the building falls down, they might rename that motherfucker. California be tripping with its earthquakes.
Shut,
I'm
shut
just saying.
up. Be
Just saying.
making stuff. Just be making
That's
stuff
the
up.
old George Lucas building. We don't go there no more.
What is your Oh, someone just texted me something about Trevor Bauer. You're probably right about that. I'm gonna look at that text after the show, but you're probably right. Someone wants us to do maybe a rehash, a follow up show on the Trevor Bauer story next week. But maybe we'll jump into that with Dion and I will talk about it. Dion, what you got before we get out of here?
What's my troubles? I don't have any troubles. I just want to say to everybody, we're sorry about last week. Thank you guys for jumping in whenever you jumped in tonight. Hopefully, we don't have any more of those technical difficulty issues. Support your local comedy clubs, guys. Make sure you hit those open mic nights. Go see somebody bomb their ass off. You never know where you might find the next great comic. And
Which we all bomb.
yeah. Enjoy yourselves. I got class tomorrow night. I'm looking forward to teaching students. Graduation's rapidly approaching, so I'm looking forward to that. And other than that, that's it. Thank you guys. I love you. Appreciate you watching. Good show. See it.
Yeah, man, excellent show. I do want to look up something before I get to mine. Folks, give me 1 second. All right, so I just pulled it up here. Shaq, Shaq is worth $400 million. 400 million, and I don't know if that's right. I always think they probably shoot a little low, but I'm gonna say 400 because that's what I'm seeing here on the internet. 400 million. Man is a Hall of Famer of the NBA. Several rings. Some people think he's in the top three. Some people argue the best of centers that ever played the game of basketball. He's great on commercials. Owns so many Papa Johns. He's on the NBA, one of the best. What do you want to call it? Pre-game shows they are phenomenal. They're so great that everybody else is trying to do what they do, which drives me absolutely nuts because you just can't mimic that. Either you got it or you don't. The man has so many different things going for him, and he got caught cheating on his wife. And so I guess what I'm trying to say is, if he can't get away with it, what makes you think you can? Get your shit together. so everybody, I can never do this without you laughing.
I was like, you said all that positive, and he's like, "What do you do? Get your shit together."
Hey, man, if this dude with $400 million couldn't get away with it, what chance do you have?
Oh, before we go, we gotta do our Super Bowl picks. Who you got in the Super Bowl?
Man, just straight up, right? No spread.
No, just straight up. San
Niners.
Francisco or
Niners.
okay, all right. Taking Tony Mac's team. I just have a feeling that this is their year because Tony passed away. So I won't be mad if the Chiefs win, but for Tony Mac, I hope the Niners do.
Niners, baby, Niners. I'm tired of looking at Mahomes and hearing that voice and, not figuring out this, that, and the other. And God forbid his father has to celebrate and go out and find the car to drive. So, on that note, go Niners. Guys, have a great week. Have a great Super Bowl weekend. Be safe. Don't drink and drive. And we'll see you back here next Monday, slightly hungover. See you.